Hi everybody, Liz Kahn here with Unique Behavioral Wellness Services, here as always with my friend and colleague, Dr. James Jernigan of Cornerstone Chiropractic. Today we're going to talk a little bit about overload.
Yes, and this is so crucial because I think a lot of people get it when they're during the holiday season, and you know that you're stressed, and then you start to get sick or you have colds and things like that. But taking a deep step further is like, Right now. We're starting February, and is your life on overload?
So this whole thing started because I came in and I was like, oh my gosh, my computer finally had to shut itself down. I had at least 5 different windows that had 10, 20 tabs up each because I had organized my chaos. But it was too much. It was too much that I was thinking about, too much that I was backburnering, not enough that I was actually able to focus on with all these other things that are right there.
Yeah, and honestly, there's a little bit of comfort in that too, because I know that it wasn't because you wanted all of those tabs open. It was like, oh yeah, I'll get to this. This is important, so I'm going to keep it there. And then it was like prioritizing it. But pretty soon it just becomes like a huge, huge burden. And the reason that it pointed out to you was your computer.
My computer. It said, I'm not even going to refresh this for you. Yeah. Like, it's too much. And it's still there in my history, and I know it's still there in my history, which is actually a little daunting now. Do I have to get back into it? Was it a great excuse to not have to focus on it when it just went away? Like, it's a whole new hurdle to cross.
Yeah.
So.
And I always go back to Pareto's principle, and it's the 80-20 rule. So, 80% of what you do yields 20% of the results, and 20% of what you do yields 80% of your results. And so often we get caught up in the 80% that really, at the end of the day, isn't even that, impactful.
That sounded confusing to me. Can you say that one again?
Yeah. So slowing it down, 80% of the things that you spend your time on yield 20% of the results. The 20% or the very vast minority of what we do actually is the most productive. And so what I see is, and I do it with my emails, that's something that I need to get really a lot better with, is I have a ton of emails that flood through my inbox, and I keep them because I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'll need that sometime. And when in reality, the 20% of the emails that come through, and honestly it's probably more like 5% of the emails that come through, are the ones that are actually important. And so I'm getting flooded with all these things that I should do or think of, and it gets me off track. Overload. Yeah.
Well, and then I shut down from what I was thinking about doing. So I know that in the email setting, right? So I know that there's something in there that I need to look for. So I'll go in there with the intention to search for something. And then I see something else that catches my eye because it's too much. Right? Mm-hmm. Oh, I should respond to that. Yes. I can do that really quickly.
Yes.
What did I come here for in the first place? Mm-hmm. Oh, no. Now it's gone. And it's interesting because it'll come back, right? It'll come back later. You're like, oh, my gosh. And that's why I went to my computer in the first place, and now I'm in the middle of cooking dinner or something.
Yes.
And that's when we start beating ourselves up. Mm-hmm. That our posture changes, and we're not really able to be present in that moment for the people who are with us.
Right.
And, oh, wow. Is there a way to get ahead of overload? Why would we be here talking about that?
Absolutely.
Right?
And so you were going to touch on a topic that I don't think I've heard of, and we didn't dive into it because we wanted to dive into it now.
Oh, yeah, bring it back.
Do you remember what it was?
No, you tell me.
You told me. You said, oh, yeah, you asked me about it. You said, hey, have you heard of this? And I said, no, what is it?
What was it?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, no!
This is what I thought the video was built off of. That's hilarious.
I know. Well, this is fun. We'll have to get back to you on that one.
So what was the action step that you wanted to produce? Because we always want to give action steps for people that they can actually apply.
And so this is where we're really starting to pay attention to what we're doing. Now, if we had to pay attention to absolutely everything we were doing every day, hey, there's a great opportunity for overload there too. Forget about that. Now, what led me to this was because of what you were saying about how, you add one more thing just to get through this day, right? I was adding one more window just to, get through that day. So what are you adding just to manage, just so that you can, deal with what's already on your plate that maybe isn't getting dealt with well? If you're finding that you're adding things like, I mean, I don't know, an extra cup of coffee, or if
Or
you're
three.
skipping a break,
Mhm.
breaks are so important, right? If you're finding that I know a lot of people in tech will bring work home with them. Like,
Yeah.
if you're doing that more and more and more, then you're actually creating new patterns. So really, your action step for today is just to kind of take stock of what it is that you've had to add in order to maintain. Because that's that area that I'd love to spend the week talking about how
Sure.
we can replace some of those things with more beneficial, more meaningful, more growth opportunities around it, so that we can. Oh, that's what it was. It was the eights.
Yes, the eights.
We were going to talk about the eights.
Hey,
Man,
Ben. Hey, Sarah.
I love this program because I just kept asking myself, what is it? So the eights. This is where we're going to talk about
Yes.
what we can eliminate, what we can
Got it.
delegate, and what
Okay.
we can automate.
Man.
Okay, and this is where, if we front load a little bit, if we look back at last month, right, and we can say, okay, what did I get overwhelmed with last month? What can I eliminate? What can I delegate, and what can I automate? And there are a lot of great programs to do this, whether if it's for emails, auto responses are fantastic. If it's responding to customers, to clients, to patients, if it's responding to your parents, whatever it is, you've got to find a way that you can organize it and reduce the things that don't work and increase the things that do.
Absolutely.
I love it when we can do that.
I'm blessed with it. That is so perfect. And yeah, it was like, because I was going from checking my email 15 times a day to checking it like twice or 3 times. And just that drastic, like just setting aside, like right in the morning.
This is the time for
maybe
it.
at noon, maybe right before I'm about to head out. And then, because then I have 3 times that are designated, so I know I'm going to be able to connect with
You're
somebody.
not adding other things at that
And
time.
do they need me to reply within a minute? It's like, are all of these things emergencies? It's like, no, and really all you're doing is just becoming less and less productive, and it's pulling away from the 20%, I think.
There was a great quote. Amos Tversky is this Israeli scientist, right? And he called himself a people scientist. There's all sorts of great stuff, but he said something about urgency. And it was like, it's amazing how urgency is reduced the longer it takes for me to attend to it. Right? So, I mean, and I think we've both seen it in our practices where, there will be something that feels emergent at the time, but when those people start taking the tools that we teach them and breathing into it and doing it, everything gets easier. So know what's urgent, know what's not.
Yeah.
There are lots of great tools that you can find online to help you make those decisions. We're always here as a resource.
And we are both very proactive in our approaches, and that's like why we're building this team, especially with Sahana, and then we're
always
building.
do that.
Yes, because we're proactive in
Yeah.
it, and this is where I was stuck, and I believe that we're like majority of people that are stuck on overload is they just see how they can get by, and it's like. Once I'm done with finals, I did this all the time in grad school, or once I'm done with this trimester, then I'll be able to work out, then I'll be able to exercise or eat healthy. And it was like, if you're finding yourself pushing things
Always
away
pushing.
into the, or if you're always a Monday person, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to start on Monday.
Oh,
That is a huge one. It's like, why do all exercise, nutrition, detox plans start on Monday? Because it's a future pace, and we can set it, and by just setting that goal, we feel better, like we're actually being proactive in the thing.
Until Monday
comes, and then we're like, yeah, heck no, maybe Monday.
I'm going to hit that snooze bar.
Yeah,
I'll start next Monday, then another week passes.
And then another month passes, then another year passes, and then you're 10 months down the road, or 10 years down the road, and those things that you keep putting off are really coming back at you. And so what we want to do is, we don't want to scare. We want you to be able to realize, like, there are action steps that you can do that aren't going to have to radically transform your lifestyle to make a massive impact.
Well, and you touched on something, and I don't want to hit it too hard, but I mean, awareness of what you're doing, because a lot of times we go on autopilot. Once you become aware, some of those things change kind of on their own. Like, it's nice to have the support. It's great to have the support. But once you start to realize, did I really have 5 cups of coffee today?
Yeah.
that's not going to work for me for the duration. Like, there is some part of your subconscious that's just going to go, okay, tomorrow we'll have less.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great.
Yeah, and it's like, no, it's fine short term. Like,
Right.
for this next week, we can get through with that. But then we all know it doesn't end at that point.
Right. Is it going to work for me for the duration? Anyway, we are getting close to our time, so we're going to say goodbye.
Yes.
Thanks for sticking with us. That was so much fun.
It was
You got
a
to
lot
see
of
the
fun.
subconscious process at work.
Figuring out what we forgot about what we wanted
The
to do.
eights. I'm so proud of myself.
Yes, the
All right.
eights are huge. All right, love you guys.